Hello and welcome to Mindset Mondays with DTK. This is episode 56. So, Mindset Mondays is an ongoing weekly broadcast series designed for those with a growth mindset or those who would like to develop one. The idea is a playground to play with new concepts, new ideas, and try on new mindsets. So, take a moment and click on the share button just at the bottom of this video, and please invite your friends, your colleagues, your community to join the conversation. All right, so today, here's the playground I want to invite us to step onto. The tragedy of life is not so much what people suffer, but rather what they miss. Yes, Thomas Carlyle's quote originally said, the tragedy of life is not so much what men suffer, but rather what they miss. I prefer it this way. So again, the tragedy of life is not so much what people suffer, but rather what people miss. So, as I said in the email that went out for this episode, I was sort of torn when I first read this. On the surface, the conversation is really about, whilst is intended to be, what do we miss on while dealing with something unpleasant? It was Thomas Carlyle during the first half of the 19th century playing with that idea that while suffering, we are cheated out of all kinds of the range of human experience. And it felt too much to me like painting everything with the victim brush. And that didn't resonate for me. So the conversation I want to have is different. It's more about, what strikes me is more about the cost of our cultural insistence on escaping discomfort and ameliorating the pain and resisting resistance. And when we are in resistance, when we are in discomfort, when there is pain, particularly emotional and spiritual, what do we miss by stepping out of it, by ending it artificially and ending it prematurely? What's missed by avoiding resistance? It's a really interesting playground here. And for me, no, I'm not advocating seeking out unnecessary suffering. What I'm speaking to is the idea of, while in the discomfort, while in the pain, while in the dissonance or resistance, pausing and noticing what's present and seeing what there is to learn from it, or even going so far as to reframing to balance the view. Cute example of more of the reframing piece is, and I'll get back to that. We got a cute call from our daughter this morning, and I'll share that in a minute. But I think, what would life be like? Take a look at the salmon as an absurd example. What would it be like if salmon resisted resistance, if they didn't lean into the struggle or the suffering? Salmon have to swim upstream, miles upstream, through raging current to get to the mating grounds. It's a pretty dire outcome if they, instead of leaning into the struggle, instead of leaning into the resistance, they chose to take the easy path. Well, it would be the end of the species. Yes, it's a pretty extreme example, and yes, it speaks to me. Had a young woman on our street who, for a number of reasons, and was born with cerebral palsy. And I remember her father, a very vivid memory of a weekend morning out on our street, which was super steep, and watching this young woman racing down the street at her, doing her best and running, limbs flailing as she tried to gain control of her body, which was very, very difficult. And I could feel the draw to go run and try to buffer her or guard her or even stop her, because I knew that it was going to end up with her eating concrete. And sure enough, as her father and I watched her father from the front yard and me from mine, I watched her land on the concrete and tear skin off of limbs. And I watched her dad walk up to her slowly. He didn't reach down and scoop her up. He stood next to her, asked her how she was doing, waited for her to ask for help if she wanted it, not needed it, giving her the opportunity to experience the world and not saving her from it, not scooping her up after she wiped out, and letting her learn her boundaries and recovery and self-reliance. As a young adult, this is an amazingly resilient woman, full of grit and determination. The blessing of that skinned knee was absolutely that she learned to begin to stand for herself. It would have been so easy for me or for her father to help her miss that pain or scoop her up and try to soothe her and make her feel better and take away the experience. And it was a huge parenting lesson for me when our eldest kids were very, very young. There is importance in the suffering. And we miss so much when we skip out of the experience. So I'm curious, what comes up for you with this? Great, Bill. Bill says, okay, but that would require me being a mature adult, and that's just not going to happen, right? So humor is always a great playground here. And in fact, that was what happened this morning. Our daughter is up at school in Connecticut, and up in the Northeast this week, they have gotten pummeled with a winter storm. And having to walk across campus to get to class, Sid woke up this morning and saw a foot of snow outside. And having gone to school in the Northeast and awakened many times to find the campus buried in snow and have to slog through it to get to school, to get to class, I'll be honest, my first response was not always positive. Sid called with glee this morning. It was like just calling to share, oh my God, it's beautiful. There's a foot of snow on the ground. And while she's on the phone with us, she had to stop a couple times to take a picture of a tree or a beautiful scene and to reframe the struggle and find the beauty in it, find the opportunity in it. It's a remarkable way to see the world. And know that the type of suffering that we can withstand the least, right? Emotional or spiritual suffering. To look at that and find the beauty, yeah, it takes a hell of a lot of work and it takes a completely different mindset. And the opportunity is to always, always look at where's the learning, where's the beauty, where's the opportunity in this. Henry Ford said, when everything seems to be going against you, remember, the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it. So much cool opportunity to find the information, find the wisdom, find the knowledge in the discomfort, even on the physical side. Look, I had a shoulder that went wonky, and before going to both the physical therapist and the orthopedic surgeon, both of them told me the same thing. Make sure that you're off the anti-inflammatories for at least 48 hours before you come in. So why do we take the anti-inflammatories? Well, the swelling response, the inflammation response in the body is for healing, but it's uncomfortable. It hurts. So we take the anti-inflammatories to take down the inflammation, which of course suppresses the healing. But we do it because it hurts and we don't want to be with the pain. Yet in order for the physical therapist or the orthopedist to do their job, they have to know what's going on in the body. They need information. I need information. So by stopping what I'm doing to ameliorate the pain and reduce the discomfort, I have more information available to me, and there's more healing available to me. Counterintuitive, when we do something to suppress the symptom and ameliorate the pain, we extend the healing. It's a fine balance that we have to hit. So where are you suppressing the opportunity for learning or growth or healing by making things easier or smoother? Where are you letting the desire to stifle the noise, ameliorate the pain, diminish the discomfort, keep you from learning? Come on, we do it all the time. I self-medicated all throughout college in my 20s. Became too difficult. It was easier to have a drink or smoke some pot or go do something that would help me avoid paying attention to what was going on. It was easier to escape than it was to be in the suffering, so I missed the learning. Well, I didn't miss it. It just took an eternity for it to come around in a different way. I was a master at escape. But that's cheating. No, at this point, as I look at my world, my family, my wife, my kids, I wouldn't change a moment of that experience because it would change everything about where I am now. Yet, wow, what if I had stayed in it and learned that lesson sooner? Yeah, Shelley, absolutely. Shelley says the resistance is growth. As uncomfortable as it is at times, sometimes you have to accept the growth and the path that takes you with grace. It's a very hard lesson to learn. Yeah, it is. Thank you, Shelley. It is. And being willing to make the grace and the learning more important than making the discomfort go away. That's the leap. So what's the motivation? When you can lean into the learning that's possible, the growth that's possible, the healing that's possible, the grace that's available. How different would your world be if you made that more important than making the pain go away? Andy, thanks for sharing that. Andy said it's a very resonant topic right now. And that's exactly what these conversations are meant to be. It's amazing how timely these are. And even though I put the list together months and months and months ago, it seems that things are always relevant for me right when they come up. So again, what's the opportunity? Where's the growth that's waiting for you by stopping resisting resistance? What growth is waiting for you? What learning is waiting for you? Yeah, Shelley, sometimes the journey, the experience is the lesson. So this week, make yourself available for whatever lesson, whatever learning, whatever growth is sitting in front of you, waiting for you to grab it. Lean into the resistance, lean into the struggle, and get curious. And bring this conversation to the Facebook group. Go to facebook.com/group/Mindset Monday and join the conversation there. And so between now and next week, what mindset will you choose? Thanks for joining.